Okay, guys. So today is day 118, and I know yesterday's video, if you watched yesterday's video, I'm sorry for the tears and for the length. It was just hard. It was a hard day. Today is better. I did have a little bit of a meltdown earlier today, but I'm past it. So first of all, I'm going to kind of walk you guys through what happened. So after I did the video yesterday and I was a little tilted and everything, and I rallied and I was going to fix the sink, and I ran into some barriers with the sink because I thought about the wrong faucet, but I decided after yesterday, I was like, I'm gonna fold on the sink. I'm gonna let my friends help. So 2 doors down, Bill is our good neighbor that lives down 2 doors down. And the reason we call him 2 doors down Bill is because we also have a next door Bill who's also cool. 2 doors down Bill is one of those guys that knows how to fix everything, and he knows how to do stuff, and he knows when not to do it. He knows when it's like, no, you need to pay somebody for that. And he's done a lot of him and Jeremy have worked over the last year or two doing things at our house and his house, like repairs, and he really helped us with the electrical upstairs when we knocked down a wall. I say when Jeremy knocked down a wall. So he's just a very knowledgeable guy. He's like one of those guys that you're like, he'll know how. He'll know the answer. Or he'll know that it can't be done. And so we really appreciate his friendship. And so he came over and I told Jeremy, I was like, tell 2 doors down Bill that he can fix my sink because I can't figure it out. And I'm running out of time. Because if it's more than one trip to Lowe's, it's outside of Rachel's scope of practice for now. For this trip. So he came over, knocked on my door, and I thought I had bought the wrong faucet. He's like, no, because yours is like, the way your sink is, it's custom. It's not, you're never going to find a kit that fits this. So we're going to have to do, he had some solutions. And he's like, when do you need this by? I was like, well, I'm leaving town Wednesday morning, but you could come back and do it after I'm gone, because we don't expect to get renters in here right away. We haven't gotten that part lined up. I just need to have our house prepared for that option. And he was like, oh, it's to him, it's not a big project. It would be easy if he runs into a snag or something comes up and he's not available in the next couple of days to do it for me. He can do it later. And he had a solution for what I thought would make it difficult. So, and our neighbors are fantastic. We have neighbors taking care of our mail, neighbors taking care of our plants. And I'm totally fine with him having a key and just coming in and doing whatever he needs to do. So that's good. So I can check the kitchen sink off my list. So when I couldn't fix the kitchen sink last night, I went for the carpet, and I could not find my stapler, my big heavy duty stapler. So I had to go to Walmart. So I'm gonna stop real quick and put in the time lapse of I started working on it, and then I had to leave and go to Walmart. Okay, guys, I'm gonna splice this video in tomorrow. My car was beeping. So I started to work on the carpet and realized I could not find my big stapler, and so I couldn't move forward on the carpet, and I don't have another day, and I can't go do it tomorrow because that's when I have help coming. So Anna's coming tomorrow, so I can't be running errands when I have help. And I'm just over it. And I did the video a few minutes ago and uploaded it, and I cried. And so I just wanted to do a little laughter for just a sec. Beater Box, his air conditioner's running in the back seat, not the front seat, because that's just what he does. But okay, so I still am on the verge of like laughing hysterically or bursting into tears. So I get in the car at like 10 o'clock to come to Walmart, which doesn't close till 11. And I checked out, it's that last part. It's 11:02 now, so I was checking out at the end. And I realized when I was walking around Walmart that I don't have like comforters and sheets for renters to use. So I grabbed some of those. I grabbed some yarn because I've been traumatized that I can't buy yarn in Liberia. And I like to put yarn in my kids' hair. And I'm going to have 3 kids of African descent that are probably going to everybody wants the yarn, the extensions. So I got some yarn. I like to make stuff with that. It's part of my fidget therapy for myself. So I needed yarn. So I saw tons of yarn for like super cheap. And I was like, so I stocked up on yarn. I found a stapler. I asked 3 people. The first person didn't speak English. The second person didn't know, like, he spoke English, but he didn't know what I was asking. And the third person was like literally kept walking away from me and yelled, "Go to aisle K20." I don't know if you guys have been to Walmart in a while, but their shelves are so overstocked with stuff that needs to be like unpacked. You can't see the aisle numbers. It would have been better for me to open up the Walmart app. That probably would have been more helpful for me to find the stapler, but I did find it. But it was just irritating. I know, like, Jeremy used to work at Walmart in his hometown when he was young. And, like, the Walmart way is to ask the person if they need help and then go with them until the help is complete and they have what they need. That does not happen anymore. It certainly doesn't happen in the North Fort Myers, Florida Walmart. So I'm checking out, and the girl, I'm like, sorry to have such a big load right at the end of your shift. You know, because here I am spending $300 at Walmart for all these things that I got. I also got myself like some eggs, and like 6 eggs, and some Diet Coke and some Gatorade mixes to take with me. And I got our oldest Liberian daughter, I got her wrapping paper, but like I didn't get her any presents because I don't know what to get her, because when we say, what do you want for your birthday, she says anything. But here's what made me laugh. So I'm checking out, and the girl goes, "Are you going on a camping trip or something with all these like blankets?" Because it's in like a bag. It looks like a sleeping bag, but like a t-shirt material. Like the comforters I got are like $30, but they're like a bed in a bag, but they're that t-shirt material. So that's the bag. So she thought they were like sleeping bags. She's like, "Oh, are you going camping?" I'm like, "No, I'm living in Liberia. So I came home for just a few days to prepare my house for renters so that I can afford to live in Liberia." And she was like, "I've never camped in Liberia." And I said, "Oh, no. It's not camping. It's in Africa. We're adopting 2 little girls in Africa. So our family is living there, and we're having to stay a little longer than anticipated. So I came home to take care of some business things. And this is just for renters to use for our house." And she was like, "Oh, well, I hope it all works out." And that's great. But she looked at me like I was an astronaut again. Like, she thinks I'm really cool, but she really doesn't. She thought that Liberia was maybe like a campground, because she was stuck on the camping thing when she saw this stuff. Because I was getting like, I mean, I guess it makes sense. It could be a camping trip. I don't know. I think that the comforters that I bought are just in a sleeping bag. So I'm going to splice this into the video tomorrow, because it's a lot. But I just didn't want to leave you guys with like lonely tears, which I did. I'm going to anyway. But like tomorrow I'll splice this video in that I enjoyed Walmart. And the people that you see at Walmart right at close, like, there's a huge homeless population here because it's not cold. People can live outside. We'll have patients from the ER that are like, "Just take me to the Walmart. I sleep really close to there." But there are tons of people that are just hanging out at Walmart, and right at closing time they check out and they buy like 2 things. And they, not to judge them completely, but they do appear to be between houses. So they're just an interesting population to be around at 11 o'clock in the checkout line. They're nice, but I don't know, it's just a different, like, to come from just abject poverty where everyone is, like, not everyone, but most people have nowhere to go, and they're sleeping on the beach or sleeping in makeshift, here and there, trying to just keep it together. The homeless people here are, like, living pretty good, hanging out at Walmart before bedtime in comparison. So, I don't know, that's all. I just wanted to say that she thought that Liberia was a campground. The people of Walmart. And she was so sweet. My checkout lady was so nice. I was like, "I'm so sorry to have such a big load at the end." She's like, "Oh no, I'm not one to complain. People have so many things going on these days. I'm just glad. I hope you find everything you need." And then she's like, "Are you going on a camping trip?" And then I'm like, "No, I'm living in Liberia." And she's like, "I've never camped there." And I'm like, "It's in Africa." And she's like, "Oh, it's in Africa." So it was exciting. I love people. Okay, that's all. Bye. Okay, so the carpet was a big project because the reason I had to fix the carpet is we had a tiny little leak underneath our air conditioner handler up there. And it's because in Florida, if you don't suck out with a shop vac, if you especially have a 2-story, if you can't suck out all the gunk or get the outdoor drainage pipes, keep them clean, it'll clog up and then water will back up and leak. And we got a new valve thing, so it won't happen again, but it's just sort of a Florida thing. So the carpet pad underneath had gotten wet. So I had taken a box cutter and sliced the carpet, like not even, I mean, it's one cut, but it's not a straight cut. So trying to like stitch it back together with the tape and all that was kind of a big deal. But, and the carpet pad, so if you buy a new carpet pad, it's a certain size. And then, but if you try to replace it, inevitably the carpet pad is not the same because it's been walked on. So, but Anna was here today. God bless Anna and her children. So Anna did my entire kitchen, basically. So I'm going to turn this around. It's obviously not completely done because of this island. But all those cabinetries, all that stuff up there, empty, wiped down. She reorganized all of my small appliances and my dishes. And like my Tupperware, my pots and pans, all that stuff. So that can easily be used by renters. Like the espresso machine, the coffee maker, everything is stored. She cleaned out all of my like baked good, like my cakes and like stuff to make cookies, you know. So she cleaned out all that, took some stuff with her that she can use, or she trashed it for me. I cleaned out what's called Mommy's office. It's supposed to be a liquor cabinet, but it was completely full. I cleaned all of that out today. I finished the downstairs. I cleaned out, we have these storage bins back here behind me that had cubes in them. I'm just going to do like beach towels. People can put their shoes there if they want. Got all the cubes packed up. So pretty much all of our personal stuff is done. 2 doors down, Bill's going to fix my sink. Paige has said that her husband will help me with the painting that has to happen in the half bath where basically Jeremy dropped, somehow like was taking clothes off of a hook. In the bathroom, we have a wrought iron like 3-hook thing that hangs on the wall, and it flung up and somehow came off the wall and hit the ceramic toilet paper thing that's mounted to the wall. It broke it. There's no way around it. Can't fix it, can't replace it. So he removed it because it's hit ceramics, so it was sharp. So he removed it, and we've literally just been setting toilet paper like on the back of the toilet or on the counter. But I can easily get a freestanding toilet paper roll. I'm not the best painter. Like, I can paint, but I'm not good at the edges. I get it in my hair. I get it on my clothes. I'm not a clean painter. I'm a good outdoor painter. Like, if you need something painted outside, if you need it spray painted, if you need like an arts and crafts sign, like you need something creative and messy, like a piñata, where it's a work in progress, I'm your girl. But like meticulous painting, not so much. And I was telling Paige was checking on me today, and Paige was like, Rico can knock that out for you, don't worry. Some of these things too don't have to happen before I leave, because I can easily, like 2 doors down, Bill can fix the sink after I'm gone. Rico and Paige can fix the bathroom, the paint. These are things. Now the other thing that I'm really hoping that I'm going to church tomorrow. A lot of my church friends are like, what can I do to help? I'm like, I'll let you know. And my neighbor next door, Duper, has asked Jeremy a couple times what he could do to help. The hurricane shutters have to come down. I need to get my garage a touch more in order tonight before I go to bed. And tomorrow after church before I let people do shutters. But the shutters are probably the most labor-intensive job. Shutters are difficult to do by yourself. I could do it, but it would just be slow. And I'm not going to get on a ladder. I'm just not. So I reached out to my friend that does my hair. She has a girl that rents her house for her as a service, and so I reached out to her to get some ideas on what the market would be. And these are things like I can rent my house out remotely once I get it to that point. So I texted Anna today after she's been with me 2 days in a row, and Paige and I have been texting because they've seen it. They've really seen it. And then and asked them both like, how close am I? And Anna was like, I think you're done with room to spare. Like, you're really down to just 2 major tasks. The shutters, the sink, I don't even consider a major task now because Bill's already going to take care of that. The bathroom. So really, I'm just looking at straightening everything up and doing things like getting things out from under the counters in the bathroom. Stuff like this, that it's easy. There's no personal items out anymore. I have a butler's pantry that I use as like an arts and crafts / noonday / like birthday decoration. I don't buy new birthday decorations for everybody's birthday. We use the same decorations that we used last time. We add in a few things. So like that needs to be addressed. Stuff like that need to be addressed. So I don't know how to. Some of it I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do. Some of the things hanging on the walls, like family pictures and stuff, I can just take down. But there's a lot of like, I think what helped me the most is when I decided that I was just going to make my garage off limits to renters. That's the other thing I have to do is I have to go to Lowe's and get locks for the closet upstairs and the garage door and the closet down here. The garage door locks, but I need I need to turn it around, and then that key is actually the same as the front door key, so I really just need new stuff. The guns are locked up, the ammo's locked up, they're separate, all that stuff's taken care of. So I think I'm in a good place. So really, we're going to be removing 2 closets and 1 office, but the renters would have a pretty big space to use. So, and then there's always that chance that our adoption stuff will just come through. We'll start seeing progress next week, which has been the case for 10 weeks or 11 weeks now. This is week 11. So, but I was talking to Jeremy. So Jeremy had been trying to meet with people, trying to network with people. He hung out with the Bruce family today, and they hung out at where we're staying, the Tropicana, and our kids get along really well. They play together. The Bruces have 2 kids that are a little bit older than my kids, and then 1 that's younger. So they're kind of all in the same. They're like 13, 11, 11, 10, 8, and 5. So, and then our Liberian kids. So I was trying to think if we had our Liberian kids are like 6, 7, 8. I think 6, 7, 7, 9. I think theirs are 7 and 9, and ours are 6 and 7. But one of ours is about to turn 8. So we would almost have all that. So once we line up all of our kids with the Bruce's kids, it would be 13, 11, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And we will have, wait, I'm missing 1. Oh, there's 2 8-year-olds. So we'll have 10 kids between us that go from 13 to 5. And so there's 2 duplicate 11s and 2 duplicate 8s. So that's a pretty impressive group of people. So I'm excited for us to all gather together in Liberia once we can get custody of our kids. We can't get custody of our kids until the suspension is lifted. So if you've not watched our videos ever, and you're just like tuning into this one, trying to figure out what we're doing. We're adopting 2 kids from Liberia. We've been in process of that for 2 years. We have been matched with them for 22 months, and we started this process 2 years ago. And usually it goes faster than that. There's some has been as fast as 7 months, as slow as 15, maybe 18 months, until this past year where we've started to see a lot of problems between the U.S. government and the Liberian government with. Apparently, the U.S. Embassy is making accusations that there's concerns for trafficking in Liberia within adoption agencies. I do not doubt that trafficking is an issue in Liberia. Just it's more of an issue in the United States than any of us realize. Very few people realize in the United States how much our own kids are trafficked. So just take that statistic and just pack it away. We knew that. We realized that firsthand as foster parents, the gravity of the child sex trafficking, all of that in our community in Florida specifically, but all over the nation. So I can appreciate all government entities having a heightened awareness for trafficking and trying to move to combat that front. However, the U.S. Embassy has made allegations that are very vague against our agency and another agency. And there's only 3 orphanages that I know of that do adoptions from Liberia to the U.S. There's also domestic adoptions within Liberia. So because of these problems, basically all adoptions are shut down right now in Liberia. No child can be adopted, either domestic or international. And the U.S. Embassy has concerns about trafficking, but they can't find anything wrong. And there's really nothing wrong. Like, the throughput process is very detailed. There are multiple checks and balances for these kids to make sure they are who they say they are, to make sure their parents can't, in fact, care for them. In the US, you can place a child for adoption even if you could care for them. So let's say that you get pregnant and you're married, but you're like, it's not the right time, or or maybe something's going, I don't know, you don't want kids. You can place your child for adoption and it's not illegal. And that child can travel with you all over the world, immigrate to other countries. There's no questions asked. In Liberia, for your child to be placed for international adoption, there has to be a need. You have to not be able to care for the kid. All other options, you have to be physically unable. And most of the time what happens is either the fathers will have died, which is they die, that survivability in Liberia is difficult. It's a very, very dangerous country and poor country, and it's recovering from a lot. And I love Liberia. We're proud of Liberia, but it's not the easiest place to survive. Or the mother got pregnant, the father would disowned or would not claim the child, says, no, that's not mine. The mothers do not have any recourse for paternity testing at all. They cannot get child support. They can't get any help from the government. Like women, they're working on it, but they have a hard road in Liberia. Women do, in terms of equality and fairness and safety. So that happens. So that's why if you're going to place your child for adoption and it immigrates to the U.S., it has to immigrate under orphan status. So orphan determination. So once we adopt our children in Liberia, if they're going to immigrate to the U.S., they have to have been orphans, meaning there was no other option. They were going to die without adoption, starving to death kids. Like certificate of necessity is like, it can't be. It has to be there. And now let's say I try to immigrate. So I adopt these two kids and I try to immigrate them to the U.S. and the U.S. Ambassador, consular, will review all of our paperwork, review all of the history of the children. They can ask us questions. They can ask our children questions. They can ask the birth family questions. And if they're satisfied that they meet Liberian law for orphan status, which is one parent has died, both parents have died, or surviving parent is unable to care for child, unable to provide for child, basically all other family members are unavailable, then that makes them a true orphan, and that means that we can adopt them and in fact immigrate them, and then they can by default be U.S. citizens because they're our children. There are times that once it gets to the phase of U.S. approval, embassy approval, that the embassy will say, the consular in the U.S. embassy, so the staff there that are hired, they're not voted, they're appointed. They're like, they can say that they have a problem with it. Sometimes they will say they don't think that the birth mother understood what adoption meant. They will ask birth mother very outlandish questions that don't make sense, that a lot of these people, like only 46% of Liberia can read and write. And if you can read and write and sustain any kind of job, then your child is not going to qualify as an orphan because you can provide for them. So let's say that you go sit in front of the U.S. consular and they ask you if you have a skill or a trade, and you're like, yeah, I'm a seamstress and I work this many hours and I make this much money. And if that's above the poverty standards for Liberia, then you should have parented your child and not placed them for adoption to immigrate to the U.S. And so they will do what's called send it to USIS, United States Immigration Services. They'll send it to USIS, and USIS will review the case and try to determine, and that usually takes years. So if it goes to that process, then families are 3 years. It's a long process. If that did happen to us, we would just move to Liberia and wait it out there and eventually fight it from there. But because from Liberia's standpoint, these kids have already been adopted by us, so we can't just send them back. Sometimes what families will be forced to do is to undo the adoption so that they're not responsible for it. It's a very big problem. So anyways, what we have found out is the U.S. Embassy has had heightened concerns for safety regarding child trafficking in Liberia, to the point that they have insisted on multiple investigations into our agency and another agency. And they will not, every single time, it seems like they get almost to the end, and Liberia police are involved, Liberia Minister of Justice is involved, Liberia Minister of Gender, Children, and Family Social Protection is involved. But these agencies cannot agree. And the Liberian side is like, there's no wrongdoing here. We have found all processes to be legal and professional, and there's no inconsistency. Liberian law and U.S. law are being completely withheld in these circumstances, but yet they're not letting us through. So, but then the U.S. Embassy will come back and say, well, what about this? And they're like, well, we looked at that. We'll look at it again. And it's kind of gets to be one of those things where the Liberian government needs to look at the U.S. Embassy personnel and say, look, we've done our job. We do not have concerns for laws being broken or child safety here. We're going to move forward with our job. You need to move forward with yours. However, there are Liberians that apply for travel visas to the U.S. every day. Sometimes they get denied. If they are not, it has been told to us, and we don't know this for a fact, because you got to get somebody on record and you got to be able to prove this. But rumor has it from multiple different sources in Liberia and in the U.S. that if you argue with the U.S. ambassador or consular's office, the consular's office that approves you to travel to the U.S. as a Liberian citizen for school, for work, for business, to visit family, to visit friends, to anything you want to do in the U.S. government or U.S., the consular that approves the orphans to immigrate once we adopt them are also the people that approve the travel visas. And if you ruffle their feathers, they will not approve you. They just won't. So there is a fear that you will lose, and a lot of the government officials do have travel visas back and forth to the U.S. The U.S. is very open arms with Liberia on trying to educate people, trying to teach them government, trying to teach them processes that are safe and healthy and productive long term to try to lift Liberia out of poverty, help them recover. And because Liberia had a 20-year civil war where there were multiple sides fighting about multiple things, and once they finally achieved peace, many countries, including Britain, and there's several, Netherlands have been, like, there's several countries that have really looked at Liberia and said, how can we help? But there's such a fear to ruffle the feathers of the U.S. consular office that if the U.S. Embassy personnel has concerns about an additional thing, the police just go back and look at it again. They don't look at them and say, we already did that. They just go do it again because there's a fear. And there's also a respect for U.S. citizens as if we know everything and we're always right. And the Liberian people don't, in general, believe that there's corruption within the U.S. government or within U.S. people in general. They think that we are above that. So all that being said, I think I went down a road of, so the reason I'm here is I've got to get our house ready to rent because we've been living in Liberia for 3 months now, almost, and we're running out of money, and we have a house sitting here in Southwest Florida in a popular tourist area that could probably rent for 2 to 3 months while we're gone. So we're going to open up that avenue. If for some reason we have to move to Liberia permanently, then we will definitely have to rent our house or we will have to sell it. So all of those things require quite a bit of effort for me to put up all of our personal items, get everything in line, get everything in order, and try to, make that work. So I am almost done. So I thank you guys for watching. I hope you're entertained by my carpet woes and my Walmart adventure. I'm going home. It's Saturday night. I have all day Sunday, all day Monday. I have 3 more days here. And then I get on a plane Wednesday morning to go back. With some help coming tomorrow. And Monday. And Tuesday, I really am just hoping to tap loose ends and be done. It is a huge undertaking to come by yourself to your house. And the things that happened today that were hard, the good news was that Anna came with her kids, and they were super helpful. And they really kept my mind off of the empty house and the dull sound, like the no sound in the background. I've never been in my house alone. Until now, I've never been in my house alone for longer than like a couple hours. I mean, like Jeremy has taken the girls out to go buy Mother's Day presents for me, and I've stayed here. And that's like it. Like, I'm never alone in this house. And so, that's in and of itself, it's hard. And it's like moving. It's like I'm moving. So, and then, back to the astronaut analogy, I feel like people look at me, talk to me, and they like what we're doing. They approve. And they think it's great, but they would never do it. Much like if I myself were to meet an astronaut. Many of us would love to meet an astronaut and be like, wow, you're going to the moon. Like, that's so cool. Like, I can't believe you're going to the moon. That is amazing. I'm going to watch it on TV. Like, this is so nice and so great. And just, you're just like a hero of sorts, because you're going to do this thing that no one else would want to do, but everyone thinks it's cool, but they would never be you. I would never be an astronaut. I have no desire to go to space. None at all. An airplane across the ocean is plenty for me. And even that, I could do without. Traveling home by myself from Liberia to here was difficult. Physically, just difficult. And when I go back, I'm checking 2 suitcases, which will make it more difficult. But it's going to be okay. So, all of that being said, excuse me, I went through some emotional journeys today. Some of our foster children that have lived here in the past, I packed up some stuff of theirs that were kind of tucked back away in my little, it should be like a liquor cabinet. It's over there. You can see it over the box. But I call it Mommy's office because we don't really have enough liquor. I mean, we're not really like liquor cabinet. We don't need a liquor cabinet. So, it's there, it's a built-in, but I've used it for like stuff I don't want the kids to mess with, stuff like that. So, or just papers, like I found some documentation, our old passports, I don't even know what to do with those. You can't use them, but they're old, but I have them still. So like, where do I put those? Stuff like that. I have, it was hard to emotionally go through some of the old stuff that were our foster children's, like pictures they drew me, things like that. Hard to go through. And there's a loss there. If you've ever been a foster parent, there's just a loss. And it helps. Some of our foster situations have moved on to a positive situation. And some of them we don't know where they are. We're not privileged to have the information as to where they are or what's happening to them now. And I think the unknown is harder than the known. The known is easier, even though it still stings. The known is easier because the known is like, I know that they're safe. I know that they're moving forward. I know that if something bad happens, that the people that are caring for them now will tell me or reach out to me if I can help. Like, I don't feel like I'm, it's a bittersweet thing. Like, it stings a little to think about them and see their, just their the chapter of their life that they spent here that they weren't able to spend with their families, with their forever families. It's just a piece of their heart and mine tied up in memories that are difficult to revisit under these circumstances, to say the least. I'll say that. And I have pictures of fosters on my wall, and our renters are just going to have to enjoy it because they're on with like that adhesive. And I can't get it off. And I'm not going to try because I'm definitely not painting the kitchen. That's not happening. So we're just going to look at our kids' faces and wonder who they are. But all of that is set aside. It was a long day. I had to take a nap halfway through, like 4:30. I talked to Jeremy and I had this big meltdown cry. And I was like, oh, this is too far away from you. This is awful. And then I took a nap because I'd only slept for like 5 hours and I'd stayed up late doing the carpet thing. And this is why I remember when I lived alone when I was in grad school before Jeremy and I got married. I did live alone for a few years with my dog. And the hard part about living alone, I don't require a lot of sleep. Like 6 hours and I'm pretty good. But without the family rhythm around me, it's hard for me to know when to go to bed, when to wake up, when to do things. Even like planning meals for myself, like everything that you do when you are a family with a lot of people is hinged on kind of everyone else too. And so, and I don't cook, I'm not a very good cook. So Jeremy usually handles feeding me. And so those kind of things are just challenging for me to get in a good rhythm and know that it's okay to sit down. The most I've sat down is doing these videos. But I had a good nap. I'm going to stay up late tonight, do some things. I'm going to go to church tomorrow. I'm going to accept help tomorrow. Probably ask for extra help tomorrow. And then I am going to continue to be the adoptive parent astronaut. And I appreciate your thoughts, your prayers, your words of encouragement, your physical help, financial help, like all of the things that people are doing. I appreciate it so much. And even those of you that aren't doing anything like directly to physically, like bringing me cell phones for people, like all that kind of stuff, bringing clothes, it's super appreciated. But even if you just like watch this video and share it, or watch this video and really let it sink in your heart, the importance of caring for people that cannot care for themselves and giving these kids a chance to be successful adults. I just thank you for being here. Just thank you. It's amazing. And one day I will not do videos. One day this chapter will end. And I will just get to go back to being the mom of 5 kids, driving back and forth to soccer practice, doing homeschool, teaching swimming lessons, working in the ER. I miss my life. Although it is a privilege to be the gap stander, the parent, like it's a privilege to be one of the 4 parents that can actually be in country this long and speak for those other parents too. We are with you guys in this. And it's a chapter of my life that I will always treasure. I mean, I gotta tell you, I'm ready to be done. For sure. I'm really ready to be done. Because it's just, I'm really like, I didn't put on any makeup for this one, so I won't look like a raccoon, I guess. It's a very, challenging thing to be in this. It feels like uncharted waters. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll keep you posted.